the beauty of the streets. I found my place to stay, 'cause now I know that you will be here with me. Like a chain of light, guiding me through the darkest night. Everything with you feels right, and tonight we build a chain of lights. Flying high like a chain of light, guiding me through the darkest night. Everything with you feels right, and tonight we build a chain of lights. We build a chain of lights. Let's build a chain of lights. I'm going I'm going in, I'ma make sure it's like all of the niggas make a big page, but when I do big, I mean outrageous. Who you think is dealing with doll face? I don't even make kings and who you know, 'cause I'm the ace by the case. That's right, I said I'm going in, while you out running errands. I'm running this game, I'm in that top spot. Natural born winner, work hard, play harder, come and get it if you wanna, but yo, you better know. I'm going in.
The week 9 ending is upon us here as we come to our final day before moving on to the final week here in the LPL Spring for 2019, and we're back in Shanghai for a doozy of FPX taking on BLG. Now, from experience, I've seen an FPX game live, I've been in that arena, and I know the crowd is going to be 90% in support for it. FPX has the name FunPlus Phoenix for a reason, right? They are fun, they're good-looking people, that's Warhorse coming in. They are good-looking people for a reason. Now, what I'm trying to get at here is that FPX at the moment look fantastic, right? I'll bring you back on track. With Tian in the jungle, Warhorse behind them as coach, Doinb in the mid lane. A team that is magnificent. Doinb's asleep right now. Not too sure why. Just doesn't care. He's just getting ready for today. It's a big matchup for them as well. Going up against BLG, FPX, they want to secure first. They're in the running to do so, competing with teams like TOP and IG. But for BLG, still looking to secure their position. People like Metoer, people like ADD, people like Kuro as well, all coming into this roster for the first time into BLG to secure their positions. Welcome back. My name's Jayce Derek Sazipenko. This is Brento Raz Muhammad. It's your turn to comment. I know what you're going to say.
They're all tired people. Just so you know, all of them coming in 11 a.m. in gamers hours. That's basically 5.
Yeah, that's really
5
early.
a.m. You're waking up as the roosters start just shouting their heads off. They're all just dead on the inside, and you can tell, specifically for Doinb, he's having a dream.
It's a power nap as well. He's getting into his zen like you did yesterday before getting into the matchup. Yeah, that's right. You did get into your zen.
Did I get into my zen?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, good. And if you don't, check out the Twitter. But today's it.
You and your 100 followers.
Thanks so much, Raz. Before
Boom,
we jump
roasted.
into today, we got three series ahead of us once again. But as we saw yesterday, man, like our match of the week set up the standings once more.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to look at here is the fact that you talked about BLG trying to secure their playoff spot. That's a 3-way tie in terms of just series to getting that 7 wins. For BLG and WE, they have a pretty clear spot of just shooting out ahead. I'm worried for Suning. Suning realistically can only hit that 7-win mark. So if WE and BLG end up winning their series tonight, it's lights out for Suning.
That's exactly right, and we talk about the middle of the standings there because right now no one is safe apart from IG, TOP, and FPX. Still playoff implications for everyone else. WE looking to secure their spot, as you said, against Vici Gaming later.
And realistically, WE can leapfrog over BLG and EDG just based off of how easy of a schedule it is. Going up against Vici Gaming, a team that's already been thrusted out of the playoffs, and bringing in Taliyah back, who has been in the LDL for the last 2 weeks, I would say. So that's pretty insane to be able to see how Vici Gaming are looking to develop versus WE. They're just ready to attack.
They're not the only ones looking to develop in Vici Gaming. OMG Rogue Warriors coming up as our last series to see who they play and what kind of happens in that bottom lane. But here, FPX and BLG, different sides of the map to look at, especially since for FPX and BLG, I'm looking at this mid lane being so darn hype in the matchup.
I love to see when it comes to these big marquee matchups, Doinb versus Kuro. That's what you want to see at the end of the day, because both of them win through mid lane in different fashions. For Doinb, it's a lot less subtle. They just go straight through mid lane. As you can see through first blood percentage, right in the mid lane is huge. 9 weeks in, I guess 10 weeks if you're just going to see past this series. And then on top of that, the jungle proximity rate throughout the mid lane is pretty high for Doinb, and Kuro kind of reaches that. I think that's something that he wants to be able to achieve. But the goal difference at 15 also says that mark for Doinb. He's able to excel so quickly in the game. FPX tries to hit it early in the first 10 minutes by trying to get out of lanes and hit the side lanes pretty hard. For BLG, they try and chill out, have these bubbles for their lanes. The lanes are going to be just as fine. Like, you're not going to be seeing Metoer necessarily like strap onto like a lane, and particularly through the mid lane, and say, well, I'm going on a ride. That's not going to happen. They try and slow it down, as they're one of the teams with the lowest bloodiness rate.
And even though for someone like Kuro doesn't have the stats kind of to support him like Doinb does, for Kuro he's still been very successful recently. I love the assassin and the change of meta for his mid lane champion pool.
Yeah, and the Kayle's back at 9.52. Like, the changes that she was able to receive for herself, including the 20-second reduction in her ultimate in level 6, are big buffs that we can now see her being able to get picked up there.
True. Very true. Other champions as well coming into the mix, like we've seen a lot of the LeBlanc out of Kuro, which has excited me as well. I used to know him for like the Galio mid, you see the Anivia as well. Pretty stock standard stuff, but with the help of someone like Metoer, I'm going, all right, well, Meteor's fresh. This is kind of his rookie split. Well, not kind of. It is his rookie split.
It is his rookie split, and he's been coming in very strong for his team. And I think both these junglers come out in very similar lights, in the sense that in Metoer account goes towards the bottom lane way more frequently than BLG's previous junglers. He comes to the bottom side of the map, surprising Uzi in this case by just eviscerating him, and then he follows through with his ultimate and takes down Ming. That's all fun to see, and he can get those advantages for his team. Doesn't matter how slow it can be. They set up for these set plays. This one was really fun for going up against iBoy and Mako, people that are known so well for their own laning phase. Come straight in alongside ADD. They are so well communicated for what is a very new team, a team that are taking in Korean imports from like those fresh from the LCK. So while they may not be on the same page like communication-wise, it's nice to see that. And here's my juxtaposition. Looking towards FPX, I already talked about how ham-fisted they are in their strategy, going straight towards the bottom lane. And oftentimes, early on in the split, it results in kills. But teams have been recognizing it, bringing in their jungler just so the early dives, this one was 5 minutes in, are pushed away. But if you look towards the CS, huge in favor of LWX, those kind of plays still net large advantages towards FPX, because you go right back in the mid lane. Cassiopeia doesn't lose any waves. So overall, these are plays that are set up by their junglers, Tian and Metoer. Tian, I think you need to do a little bit more than just be there defensively. Metoer needs to be able to set up the fights, try and push Doinb back in, much like how Invictus Gaming and RNG did.
Now, Metoer has been playing very, not reactively, but he's been adapting a lot to situations in the past couple of series. Especially against EDG, we saw kind of the best of Metoer on that Rek'Sai and what he can do with that mid-jungle proximity as well.
And the thing about how Metoer has been playing this one out, because one of the things I wanted to like just focus your eyes on, mid-jungle proximity, huge for Tian. That's something that Metoer wants to be able to now match in this series, try and want to boost that stat up. But then the solo kills, because Tian, when he is not beside Doinb, hasn't been doing too poorly as well. In fact, I think he's been going to the right parts of the map at the right time to be able to pick up the same experience while defending his top lane. GlmGoon's been getting so much love and pressure from Tian as well. So the 8 solo kills is #1 amongst all junglers. And the 6 solo kills of Metoer is #2. Both of them do quite well on their own. Metoer, who in the second last series that we saw when they went up against RNG, even though it resulted in a loss for BLG, it was actually Metoer taking really just matchups and doing really well versus Karsa. He was ahead in experience quite consistently in matchups that were even out, but between who is, like, right now I'd regard as the best jungler in the world. So right now Metoer is on a great path, and going up against Tian, this is for me a matchup to watch amongst rookies.
In his debut split, this is going to be absolutely fantastic to watch. On that note as well, remember that the champion pool may or may not overlap here. The Rek'Sai being a priority for Metoer, and for someone like Tian, he's been playing a lot of the Jarvin, and we'll see that matchup quite fluently here in the LPL now.
And I don't think, for me, I don't think it's going to try and interlap. I think both these junglers are going to be staying in their own lane. I think that Tian picks up Jarvin because it works so well for the composition as a whole that FPX tries to achieve. When they get into larger team fights, that's their main goal. And you could say that could be the same case for BLG. So maybe we see the Jarvin, but I expect Meteor's role to be more focused towards the early game. Throughout the the middle portions of the split, he's been going towards the Nocturne. I think Nocturne is just fine as well. But this portion of the split, when it's the games are a lot longer, Meteor's role has changed to be a lot more early game focused. So the Rek'Sai is certainly something he wants to pick up for himself.
And remember for BLG, this is again the slow versus fast matchup to me that we saw yesterday in EDG TOP. It's a rinse and repeat, but yesterday EDG gained control and all that. Had a really good early game, really strong showing. For BLG, it is still that slow pace, but FPX, a very different team from TOP, right?
Yeah. Much faster pace with the replays that we saw earlier on. And I think one thing that if you were to ask me about a week ago how I would take my take on this series, I would have said that FPX would be able to just like outpace, completely mess up BLG. And BLG, a team that's so focused on the structure, wouldn't be able to deal with all the punches flying over them. They would definitely miss that overhead right coming in from FPX. But even seeing the series that they went up against RNG, the third game that they lost, but I still felt they actually matched pace very well with RNG.
They did.
I thought they actually, when they were challenged of being much faster and needing to have to accelerate the opposite side of the map when things weren't going well on the bottom side, they did just that. So I think that while that is not something they are the most comfortable in doing, hell yeah, it's something that they can do.
Yep.
That's an attribute of champions. That's an attribute for teams that are on the top of this the region, recognizing that even when it's their weaknesses, they can cover it to a good enough degree.
And even though they're showing that adaptation, remember though for BLG, it has been a loss streak as they've started coming into the strongest schedule here in the later parts of the LPL. So this needs to be a win for them to make sure they can secure playoffs.
The one win that they should have gotten that really escaped their grasp was the one up against WE.
Yeah.
That was the one where it really showed that even in their core strength in team fighting, that's something that they're getting challenged in. So I expect them to have bettered that. I expect them to have gone over the VODs versus Team W and expecting what to do when they're challenged in a really great scaling composition. I would want to see them be able to match that FPX team fighting. Let's take a look at this team. GlmGoon in the top lane, Tian in the jungle, Doinb in the mid lane, and as per usual, LWX and Chris rounding out the bottom side of the map.
He's holding his wrist because all that Rise mechanics coming through. This man in the mid lane is absolutely bonkers. I'll keep talking about him for as long as the game goes, but let's look at BLG. ADD in the top lane, Metoer, Kuro in the mid lane, Jinjiao and Mini rounding out your bottom.
Before we were looking at the players, the camera had their eyes on Jinjiao and Mini, and I think that's relevant. I think specifically Jinjiao as a player is someone that wants to go towards the Caitlyn, the Kog'Maws, and we're starting to see a lot more late game oriented champions. And I think that's right down his wheelhouse. I think if you're looking towards BLG, he's already been getting the space. He's been getting the space to really work out in team fights. So I expect the Sivers of the world to begin his grasp so they can scale out very naturally.
Otherwise, we go back to something like the Ezreal, of course, for Jinjiao that's been in this wheelhouse for a while. Cassiopeia has been played too. 9.5, remember, as we jump into game number 1. An important one for BLG, but for FPX, securing first and second seed, that berth over to the semifinals. That's exactly what you want. So let's get started.
I just want to see if the Sylas is banned away from Doinb and GlmGoon. They would love to be able to pick it up here. Ooh, Rek'Sai banned away from Meteor.
Okay. Normally a blue side first pick there. If left open, the Sylas is the ban as you requested, Raz.
Yeah, for me, Sylas was going to be that blue side first pick. They just recognize that if I'm FPX, you either go towards the Jarvin, Kalista, or Sylas. BLG didn't want any of that one from the Sylas point of view, especially since Doinb has been just playing so much Sylas on his off time that it makes a lot of sense that that's just too strong of a flex. It brings you back towards the Aatrox and Urgot when that was just a constant flex that FPX were utilizing. And then the Rek'Sai, some teams have been using it as first pick. I don't think FPX had any intention of picking it up, so BLG just says, okay, if you give it to me, I'll do it. They don't have that option, and now you're starting to see the Aatrox flex pick. Could be a jungler here for Meteor.
Yeah, we'll see, because Meteor hasn't been characteristic more towards the side of ADD, but we have favored here in the LPL the Poppy, the tanks there, the initiators for BLG, as we talked more about their team fighting.
That's why the most utilized pick in red side for BLG has been, counter pick for ADD. If he's gone to his last pick, you would expect, well, is he going to be going to Kuro? He's going to be going to ADD. Kuro is far more likely to pick up blind picks like Zoe, even if he could be in a possible bad matchup. So yeah, I'm looking towards BLG as saying, well, we'll pick up the Aatrox and we'll hold it until the last pick we see it's viable for the top lane.
LeBlanc's taken away as well, one of Kuro's stock standard or favorite picks in the mid lane. Interested to see LWX actually going on the Vayne. Kai'Sa was available, it is his most played champion and his best by far. If you've ever looked at the comms of FPX, they always talk about LWX being a one-trick Kai'Sa, but showing his test on the Vayne going into now at Jayce.
This is risky. Remember in the replays we showed earlier, it was FPX taking advantage of the enemy team when they picked up the Vayne. The range advantage and just the outright skirmish advantage that FPX had with that pick. They recognize that and take away the Kalista because that would be what the enemy team would want. But I've already stated, if you look towards what's been happening in the LCS and in Korea, Deft being able to pick up the Kog'Maw, I think Kog'Maw in towards the Vayne pick is just the best pick right now in terms of laning phase. We're seeing huge advantages being picked up there, which is why I think the Braum is pretty crucial. It gives her some leeway of playing out the matchup. But then you start saying, well, the support's also being waited until second phase. Why not pick up the Kog'Maw Lulu? I want to see what BLG goes for here if they're a team that can adapt on the fly.
See where that Galio does go there for BLG. That's going to be the final deciding factor. Nico's banned away as well. Jinjiao getting put into a corner, but Taliyah straight out of the second ban phase right into a mystery pick there for BLG.
That has been a pick for Metoer. Remember, Taliyah has been a great jungler just going throughout the days. But how I would expect this? I would expect this to be Kuro's Taliyah. Remember, if you cast your mind back to Asian games, that was the classic pick here for Kuro, who wanted to be getting out of the laning phase. The one thing to take note of is the passive for Taliyah is very strong. You just need to be able to get out of the lane first. If you have that one asterisk where her shove has been so dented based off of her nerfs, there have been so many nerfs levied towards the champion that hurt her as a whole, and one of the biggest hit was her wave clear. So if she's put into the mid lane, and if she has the support from her jungler so she can push and roam, then you start to see the Taliyah of early game that you saw in the past.
But of course, if you want to match wave clear with wave clear, melee wave clear that is there from the Yasuo if it gets locked on
Lock it in.
Doinb,
Yeah.
let's do it. This composition does scream FPX chaotic style.
That's what I love to see. Even the Kennen calling out the fact that it's going to be a Jayce in the top lane. If there's one good pick into it, it's the Kennen option that has CC on top of CC. So FPX here, like they have some great team fight there with the Cataclysm, Kennen ultimate, and of course the Yasuo ult to follow it all up.
Of course, Yasuo getting
Lock
locked in
it
there.
in, baby!
First Kayle of the LPL. Look at the stats down the bottom. Never before seen now across different regions like the LCL, over towards the CIS, of course, TCL as well. We've seen a bit of Kayle, but in Premier regions, I believe this is the first, and it looks like it could be going to Kuro in the mid lane, Raz, or do we put it, where are we putting everything?
I would put it in the top lane if it's ever going to be put, but remember it is going to be a Jayce option. We'll see, because I think it can be flexed, and if you put it up against in particular, if you put it up against the Kennen will maul you.
Yep.
In bad matchups, it's awful. One of the biggest attribute towards the Kayle is that Kayle being melee for about the first 11 levels.
Laning phase looks shocking.
It's really bad, but if you can really counterpick yourself into in a matchup where you can get through it, you can find the experience, open up the lanes, find yourself on the side lane matchup so you get full solo experience and minion gold, then you get to the level 11, and ultimately like level 16 is what everybody wants, so you can be able to have access to the true damage a lot if she's able to get for herself.
AoE damage,
yes,
Raz.
Yes.
It's so annoying, and it will be taken into the mid lane in the end. I guess there's so many surprises with this BLG composition with the Taliyah AD carry.
And we're going to be learning this together, the matchup that is.
Yeah.
I have not seen, because we've so seldomly seen the Yasuo pick, we've seen it globally, but it's kind of like that niche pick you have if you're that flexing mid laner, right? Yeah. We saw it from BDD, I think, last night. So for me, my question is, if you see the Yasuo pick, what are the counters? What do you actually go into it very comfortably? In this case, we're seeing the Kayle. In the mid lane, I'm expecting a tier build for herself. Tier, Gunblade. There's also the possibility of like the Nashor's Tooth as well.
That's true. Old Kayle still resonates well with the new one.
But it's just going to be about her scaling. And that says a lot about BLG as a playstyle. And sending the Taliyah to the bottom lane to get it all going, this is the most fun composition we're getting in a game 1 versus FPX.
There's going to be so much roaming. There's going to be so much early movement here. Counteracting FPX. They do it first. BLG follow up. Let's see what happens here as our first Kayle jumps onto Summoner's Rift here in the LPL 2019. Now, of course, every time you hear FPX chant in the crowd, it is Doinb's wife, my new favorite esports couple.
To be fair, I don't know many esports couple out there.
Well,
so I'm just going to rain on your parade on that one.
All right, well, let's take stock here because, of course, the Kayle being new, the first point of interest there is the fleet footwork with domination. Second here for Kuro in the mid lane.
Of course, Taste of Blood. Jarvin is Hunter. I'm expecting just pure lifesteal on this end.
Yeah.
Fleet footwork makes a lot of sense because the biggest worry about a Kayle is just being able to keep up within the laning phase. Has teleport here as well, so there's that option of being underneath your tower at all times. And then when you run out of mana, as you can see, like the mana consumption is always difficult if you're going to be using it to not really harass, but try and keep up in CS. Coming back into lane is going to be a big thing about how she's able. I was wondering if she was going to go Inspiration Tree. A lot of the Kayles out there has actually been going towards Kleptomancy. Kleptomancy has been the go-to. Of course, Kuro recognizes this going to be a difficult matchup, so he's gone towards the far more defensive route. But remember, a fun fact is if you're able to get that one, I forget what the name of the potion is, but it just levels you up. It gives you a free level up.
The skill tonic or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called.
That, if you get that early on,
hang on,
you can actually get your range at level 10. So you get it earlier, which is a really cute thing that you can have off of the Kayle. So there's a lot of cool things that we're not going to see because there's no Kleptomancy.
No, but of course it would make perfect sense. Maybe more iterations coming forward. And we talked about the potential of things like the Morgana today with the change in picks. You talked about hyper carries like the Cogmore in the bottom lane. We're seeing more and more. Well, Kayle is that late game scaler. I mean, we still see that in the game, just not in the bottom lane.
And I just wonder how Metoer is going to deal with this, because the reality is he recognized that Doinb is going to have free pressure within the lane, and he's going to look outwards.
Yep.
I had expected that BLG were going to try and contest the pressure from FPX. They had known, they had the playbook from FPX needing to get the mid lane push and utilize Tian to then go towards the bottom lane and try and help LWX early.
Predictability.
He's literally already here.
Yeah.
So they should have known that this was the plan, and Aartox is so far back, he's not going to be able to protect them.
He's coming in a little bit slow. Here we go again. Raz
Teleport.
4v2. Dragon Flag right on top of Jinjiao. Doinb's there. He roams up, but the kill goes over to the Vayne. First blood to FPX now for LWX. He has to get out because a 1-for-1 trade. The dive going wrong. LWX between two people, and this is not what you want. The Kayle gets the kill early too.
Just the way that Vayne pathed up, he probably didn't want to use his flash and was holding on to it as much as possible. It was just really weird overall. I still think the dive went off without a hitch. Had the teleport had gone in too early, FPX would have backed away, taken the teleport advantage, gone back mid, and just rehashed the play overall. So BLG needed to make the teleport when it happened. It was a perfectly timed teleport. The only issue was Aartox wasn't there at the time in which the dive was happening. So we'll see if he can make anything happen now that he's waiting for Doinb.
Oh, Doinb just goes in with the blind little windmill. Will be dragged back here by the Infernal Giants.
I've just seen so many visual bugs at this point. I don't even know if he really was just outside of the bush. If Doinb just saw him, that's the sad reality.
To be fair, though,
to our peasant eyes, we saw him outside of the bush.
I was gonna say that. To be fair, it's they have stopped. A lot of them have stopped.
A lot of them, but not all of them.
But not all of them. Doinb's here again. Metoer still can't take the 1v2 now. 2v2, 2v3, 3v3. Make it that. Jinjiao's come up as well.
Just the ability to rotate from bot to mid has been a thing that you could do pretty easily with Taliyah. You always have in your own mindset that with the Taliyah jungle, you can move across the river so easily. With the mid lane, of course, you can go to side lanes. But you never think about the Taliyah just literally leaving the bottom lane and helping out in mid.
pushing in as well. Metoer just going to get invaded here. There's nothing too much Kuro can do, but Metoer handling this well. For BLG, handling the start well, even though the jungle's behind.
At least now, for BLG's perspective, they can actually support the Kayle very well. If you have the Taliyah in the bottom side of the map alongside the Galio, you certainly have the push pressure. But ADD's got to get out of this one.
It really does. Flag and drag once again. ADD caught in the brush. Now for Metoer, the counter gank crucial here. But the flash is on. GlmGoon will find the airy, find the auto. One more. Lightning surge. Flash away from Metoer. The flag, but no drag there from Tian to make the double.
I'm certain Metoer tried to flash to protect the Q.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to shield ADD. Wasn't going to happen there. And that sucks. It's hard, man. GlmGoon being able to get that extra bit of damage that kills ADD is going to make the matchup a little more harder now for ADD.
Has the bonus teleport to get back in here as well. GlmGoon has his, but level 6 there for the Kennen up in the top lane. FPX active as always, but again, this is also showing our ability for BLG to adapt here in this first game with only 6 minutes in.
This is definitely adaptation, right? It's like 2018. You have the question of course, you just hit level 6, just so you have that idea. But you always had in your mind that the players like Jinjiao is a type of person that, you know, doesn't go outside of the realm of picking off like the other champions, like AP champions, tank champions, the bottom lane. And the meta where Heimerdinger was a key portion of it, he mentioned that his team didn't want him to play it, that they wanted him to play ADs. That's why he was the slowest to adapt. And now in this, literally 2019 is the year that you're seeing him play Cassiopeia, and in this game you're seeing the Taliyah. So it's just a new environment. You're starting to see a lot more.
He looks really good on that Cassiopeia as well. For the Taliyah, it's been a bit of a rarity, you know, and remember that RNG jungler Karsa played it a lot in the 2018 season. In fact, a lot of junglers did. We're seeing it here in the bottom lane. The shove is still there, able to poke down LWX. Bottom lane even. Mid lane with the kill still on the Kayle, but behind 10 CS. So an even map here for BLG. Always going to favor this team.
Yes, I think it will favor them if they are able to levy the pressure towards the bottom side of the map. That's why you're seeing FPX now move topside and make a difficult early game even harder here for ADD.
Yeah, that's annoying from Doinb. Always on the move. Tian as
going
well.
in.
Here we go once again. 2v3, not good for BLG, but the taunt's going to help out. Will Jinjiao live to see another day? Not this time. The heroic entrance. Metoer in late once more, but he's always playing the reactive gank, even if he doesn't get there in time.
You're even seeing Kuro just in, you know, seeing if this goes on any longer, starting to lean towards the bottom side of the map. So you can already see FPX being able to pick up the kill is nice, being in the area, but it's getting to a point where BLG as a squad, with teleport now coming back up for Kuro, they will always try and force those major 4v4s or 5v5s.
Remember that Divine Ascent is level 6 now, so going to have a lot more damage there. Flames coming out when exalted on the Kayle, but looking towards that level 11 mark that we talked about. So although he's going to roam, and although there is the building up there from the Stinger into most likely the Nash's Tooth, waiting for that Kayle to do a bit more damage on the ropes.
She is just, one of the biggest factor of reaching level 11 is just that she gains 550 range.
Yeah.
She becomes a ranged champion. And that works out really well for her, of course, being able to push back the matchup against Doinb. That's when it comes incredibly easy. But for now, he's just going to have to eat it.
Still ahead in this lane. Got himself turret plating as well on the Yasuo. Yeah, blocked away. Take that. There we go. Look at that. That's too much damage, though.
I guess he didn't want to go into the tier early on. Was already recognizing that it was a poor matchup, so he's trying his hardest to keep up, which is working out effectively. Like, the CS is essentially even.
Yep. Said well there by Kuro. No fear of a gank as well. Top lane is secure there with Aartox nearby on Metoer, who's hit level 6 and is still trying to catch back up in this jungle. The biggest worry right now is Tian, all over the map, but still 20 CS ahead. Even has security over this Infernal, which is completely blind until Jinjiao walks nearby, but even he's not going to face check it.
Yeah, he's not going to have an idea that this is being done. It's crazy with how much vision right now BLG is levying in the early. Only just see it now. He'll be able to take it with his smite, so no concerns here.
Yeah, only Winterwall did that much damage. Mini seeing it away. Next one's going to be Mountain. So good Dragons to start off here for FPX. 1k gold lead at 9 minutes. Still, their momentum continues to shove.
That's the thing with Tian. Tian, so far, this split, he's always essentially made the right choices in looking towards what has the highest gank rate, because gank success percentage, like just all these stats that the LPL ends up accruing for themselves, and their rate of success is literally if they get the kill or not, right? A lot of the times, Tian ends up getting the kills either bot lane or mid lane.
And the buffs as well, apparently.
There we go. Bluff percent success rate. Through the roof this game.
I mean, he's 25 CS as well. And look at what Metoer committed there to go for the invade. He's losing out on so much here in this jungle. And this is not the first time in the LPL that we've seen an Aatrox jungle fall behind in the early game just because it's being counter-jungled and out-jungled.
It's been difficult for him because oftentimes it starts through the mid lane. A lot of the times, a great jungler, a jungler that can get a lot of pressure done is one that's able to get all that pressure through mid. And you're starting to just see Kuro be able to combat the shove.
Yep.
But for the majority of this game, it's been Tian. So Tian's been looking good, even able to sneak the bottom side dragon when, honestly, Jinjiao and Mini had all the pressure in the lane to be able to see it coming.
Be able to find something mid as well if you can get a pick here onto Kuro. But anyway, as you said, the shove is there with the exalted Kayle. But for Kuro, still waiting for that first item, as I said before, as Rift Herald gets started up here as well. Meteor's come over, the flash there, remember. Divine Judgment available for Kuro, as Tian will now just Cataclysm on top of Meteor. An ultimate that will relive again. Meteor still in ultimate form. They find the kill first onto Tian. Now for the quick pick from BLG is FPX. Not sure whether to go back in, but GlmGoon has ultimate. Winter's Bite, 2-man. Divine Judgment comes on down, but 0 damage this early on. Kuro bites the dust as well.
Great isolation from Doinb. Doinb just looked towards Kuro, even though you're thinking, well, do you want to get into a 2v1? Do you want to split damage? He split Kuro away from his jungler. Meteor went down, and then finally when you see 3 people moving towards that narrow corridor in the red side jungle, they all in with Kennen. FPX playing this one out masterfully.
Again, push, move, push, move. How the lane's going? Well, how's the river going after this play?
See the flash, just he wants to be able to catch Kuro and still net that knockup. It wasn't going to be a possibility. Meteor not being able to take the full damage from Tian. I love the fact that Doinb just says, you're not a part of this fight at all. It's not happening. The moment Meteor and Kuro recognize that this is just not going to happen, GlmGoon, Doinb all follow through. You may have the ability to live a lot longer. Like, theoretically, BLG's composition through Aatrox and Kayle is just annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
Throw in a Zac and it's like, when are you dead, really?
Sure.
But being able to play out the fight calmly will get you through it. You're starting to see FPX start to nail these down.
Once again, the communication channels are just so smooth here for FPX. The top side of the map, momentum is back and ready. You have 2 kills there on GlmGoon. Almost as his first item. Probably going to go for the Proto Belt, but has to seek his Armor Guard just to see this lane out. And already, ADD, he's seeing this lane turn into a bit of a catastrophe as the Kennen has kept up in CS as well. Mid lane's at a good point too.
Remember the cooldown reduction that you get from Kindle Gem is a big takeaway too. So he's able to keep himself topped up within the lane, farm pretty easily underneath his tower. And now Tian is feeling pretty emboldened after the last play to play through mid lane pretty consistently. So nothing is going to pull him away from this. The only thing you could take away with turret plating going down very soon, I thought he would try and chip this one next so they can get the next turret plating for the Yasuo. It's not going to be the case.
Now they go bottom lane instead, just securing more Scuttlecrab vision and getting ready for this next Mountain Dragon. As look, the whole of FPX are on the roam. Bottom side even comes up to contest Jinjiao and Mini. Jinjiao and Mini are stuck in the laning phase. Taliyah stuck in lane is never a good news story.
Especially if she's not able to really get anything off of the fact that she's supposed to be able to push and roam out with the Galio. Like, the push potential is supposed to be there for the squad in the bottom side of the map, but now they're getting bullied around. Warriors are starting to slowly sneak in from FPX into the jungle of BLG. But they've been pretty consistent. I thought they were going to try and utilize the wards they already had towards Dragon and try and bounce between mid lane and bottom lane tower that they've been doing so well in.
Yep.
But the case is right now, FPX are just saying, well, I've been trying to work to get this Rift Herald for some time now. Please help me.
I mean, LWX still down in the bottom lane, so even though they got Rift Herald, Tian can just move down there or give the Mountain Drake up entirely. As BLG start moving down there themselves. They got 5 seconds. Tian is rotating downward.
I think he gets level 11 off this wave. There we go.
Okay, all right. We now have ranged Kayle there.
Yeah!
Let's go.
Let's go. 550, my friend. This is what I'm here for. She is like the least hype champion, by the way, but this is oh, let's go.
Oh, now we're under Jinjiao. The heals there, lock on down, ultimate in the Fisher, but FPX, their bottom lane might be caught. Chris goes golden, but for LWX and Nina has to kite away. Here comes the Divine Judgment from Metoer, finds the damage Chris. The range value is still there, but the World Ender following up as the Kayle gets deleted as well for FPX. It looks like the collapse was too simple as they find the last kill there in the fight. FPX on 9.
So seamless, that collapse. Literally just look at LWX. He had all of his summoners, and he's like, okay, I'll start this out. Let's see how much they burn on me. It is so frustrating to try and get the kill or trying to jump on towards a Vayne that has Condemn and is looking towards Final Hour. Throw it on, and then suddenly you're seeing people trying to get on top of her. Crisp even throws, he doesn't throw his life away, but he tries to essentially risk his life to keep LWX alive and pumping damage out. Galio wasn't feeling good after Jinjiao had already died there too. So let's take a look right from the beginning.
Yep.
He had one person in his eyes in between the AD carry and support. Woo. So the moment Galio sees this all happening, it's already too late. The last auto attack goes through, the taunt happens. Not only does he cleanse, but flashes outside of the Justice Punch. So that's it. Like literally, that is the fight. As long as the rest of FPX follow up on the flank, then there is no way BLG take this with their major damage threat out.
You saw Divine Judgment there from the Kayle used onto Metoer to make sure he could get the kill, but even then he wasn't able to clean up. All 5 members of FPX survived the fight with a 4K gold lead at 16 minutes. This is very FPX-esque of them in game 1.
I feel bad for BLG right now, because I love like new plans, new strategies, something you've been cooking up in the kitchen, right? It's just that if it fails, then the community is just, they just don't stop.
That's very true.
Kayle probably has the worst stigma right now in solo. Just absolutely the worst.
So while new Morgana looks absolutely fantastic, new Kayle, it's a very different story.
But they tried their hardest to prop her up through a strong skirmishing jungler, a bottom lane that pushes, so that she can get to her level 11, and she does. So there is still hope for BLG in some of these team fights, but you're already seeing based off of like all the combinations that FPX are going for, the outright damage that Yasuo and Vayne provide, it's going to be tough.
In comparison to the Kayle, it's not really there, but in the bottom lane, more damage now onto the support, condemned into the wall. Synergy again, FPX 2-man seismic shove, but it just brings him closer to Jinjiao as the Fisher comes down again. Flag and drag and Divine Judgment, but the Judgment coming back to FPX. Double kill already for the Vayne. LWX running forward onto Kuro. The Kayle, the stigma continues. It's the triple for the Vayne.
Get the quadra.
They're following up on Metoer. He's out of the world. And here comes the final hour. Vayne for the 1, for the 2, for the 3. Condemned away. Unofficial quadra for LWX. And the turret dies with it.
I'm mad. I mean, Galio didn't even come back alive yet. That should have been an official quadra.
Yep.
But you can see that this game is already just the worst.
So we saw our first Kayle. How did it do?
I don't blame the Kayle.
Neither
certainly,
do I. But everyone else will.
Yeah. It's fine. You go into this situation, and I think the worst thing about the strategy as a whole is that it was up against FPX, a team that really has practiced playing through mid lane so consistently, going up against the Yasuo, where you know you're going to concede so much through mid lane. And they've been a team through even their last set up against Dino Dragons that have done just this. Like, they've used push lane in the mid lane to just bully your bottom lane.
Yeah.
So as a result, it spills over to Jinjiao like it did against Gala. So I am not surprised in the fashion that they did this. And I think the most damning thing, BLG, when they go into the film room, they'll just look at the fact that when the first dive came through on the bottom lane, that Aatrox wasn't there. That was key.
Yep.
If he was there, he would be able to keep Jinjiao and BLG rolling. They would be able to at least combat a lot of this mid-game pressure, and it wouldn't have snowballed so insanely in LWX's favor.
It says something about FPX, doesn't it? That their plays are predictable, but when they do it is not. 3 minutes into the game, 3 to 5 minutes rather into the game, when you see level 3 in the bottom lane, you go, well, this is not going to happen, right? Now, this game, BLG slow to the chase there through the jungler, and Metoer has been behind for quite a while now.
It depends on the footage that you're looking at. If you were to look at literally the last series that FPX played, they had done the exact same strategy.
True.
And I think BLG had recognized that and thought that, in Meteor's case, that he could be there on time for bottom lane. It's that, you know, new jungle flow when you're thinking, I can do one more thing, one more Scuttle Crab before I go in for an invade, or I can get one more purchase just to be ready for this dive. When really, they just need a warm body. They just need you sitting there. You don't need to have nice new like shoes or like a pretty new hat. You just need to be there for the fight, and you can harp on that a lot. I think for me, that's something that I'll always look back to, and making this composition, if you want to play like this, perfect. But much like these compositions, like the cheese that you end up throwing, it's all about you having to play perfect.
That's right.
If you fall off once, if you make that one crucial mistake, everything starts to look like a joke. Yeah. The one normal pick here, which I'll say like Meteor is a normal pick. I would say the way ADD's been playing out the lane, that was something that should be going well for them. But because everything and literally all like the bottom side of the map had not been working out well for BLG, of course he tends to suffer as well.
Of course, it's a lot easier there when ADD had to use the teleport early and GlmGoon just walk down with a bit of lane priority with Tian nearby. For BLG, 8k gold behind, remember, so this game, salvageable is a massive question mark at this point, but around the Baron buff, anything's possible. And remember, Kuro's aiming for that level 16 mark. He's exalted then, 10% true damage. The AoE that he's already doing will be pushed even further on the level 12 already capped.
And overall, I mean, just to simplify this game for you people, it's literally like, it's an 8k gold lead. Vayne has her 2 items. Static Shiv and Infinity Edge right there for Doinb.
Yep.
Across the board, they have hit every spike they could have possibly wanted. It's like Santa came in March, and you're like, this is a bit early, but I'm not going to complain.
You know what? Presence in March. Hell yeah. Baron's going to go down as well. Add one to the list. Chris even flashes for good measure. Teleport in from GlmGoon. Maybe over ambitious, but they can't find him. So BLG get away, but they get nothing.
I love the call there. Even Crisp saying, all right, we're getting out of this. I guess we just want to play this one out slow and disciplined. No more crazy fights as well. GlmGoon's like, well, I can't cancel this. So I guess I'm just going to have to escape. No one wants to help.
You're getting a good look of how FPX are going to play their mid to late game now. If we even get towards that late game. I mean, you spoke about the 2 items there before. Well on the way to 3 for people like GlmGoon who already have the Seeker's Armor Guard. Vayne will be there, Yasuo will be there. So it's not like FPX don't have the scaling on their side. And this early on just looks so rough.
That's why one of the biggest arguments against the Kayle in particular is that while she is a scaling champion, literally in her name, like the fact that she has to, through her passive, get to the fact that she's level 16 and can pump out true damage, right?
Yep.
That's the sell, is the fact that she is an insane scaling champion.
Sure.
But some of the champions we're seeing currently in the meta, in particular the Vayne and the Yasuo, are just as good.
Yeah.
And in fact, the biggest thing with Vayne is that you're seeing her pop that much earlier off of 2 items.
Same with Yasuo as well.
So the fact that her early game is worse than a Kassadin is really an indictment on the character in competitive play.
That's saying something.
So we'll have to see how teams can play around it, because I think Kuro at least showed us he can get to the levels he requires.
Yep.
If the work has been done.
Well, are we going to get there? Jinjiao, Divine Judgment used once again, but for FPX too far forward, I don't think so. Chris may drop down here, and that's a big pick there for BLG on the defensive side, but Mini has to just punch just to get clear of the silver bullets. FPX, the trade-off is there for the support, but mid lane turret with the Baron buff now potential.
Good call from ADD to literally just rotate with the time that he had to just clear out that wave, because FPX could just move from bot to mid. They're going to double down in the bottom lane wave.
Having said that though, BLG still have some minion clear, but at this level maybe not. Mini not finding the taunt there, seismic shove as well. Pick potential as LWX holds in, front forward. Mini, again, one more, takes the shot. LWX gets deleted though by the Kayle and the help of the rest of BLG. Pushing away from the inhibitor, Meteor's coming in too. Raz, the burst, the flash, Meteor now re-engaging. Doesn't find him, but GlmGoon in. Slicing Maelstrom, turns for the re-engage. Last breath from Doinb, Cataclysm down, Death down. Triple kill for Doinb, and the inhibitor, and maybe the game coming up next.
Holding that Cataclysm just for BLG to hold that L. Literally just waiting for them to use all of his escapes for that fight so they can just get the ice cream. I love the fact that FPX are able to take this win in the fashion that they did.
Oh, it was beautiful to see in the early game. The Kayle was neglected, and BLG going to have to think twice in this next composition going up against FPX.
Well, that was fun.
It was fun, Raz.
It wasn't fun for BLG, but
No, it was not.
it was fun for me.
I enjoyed seeing the Kayle.
I enjoyed seeing myself. I wonder if the people saw that one. But
Man.
overall, I thought that from start to finish, FPX showed us the same strategy they utilized. There's no secrets here. The fact that they were able to get the early game lead through Doinb and Tian, it's like, all right, okay, I've seen this playbook again and again. BLG have to show me that they can really challenge FPX in the early portions of the game.
because although the composition for them, it was challenging, you said it in the game yourself that, you like that BLG are trying new things, but at this point, whether it's relevant for BLG to try new things is questionable, because at this point, BLG, they need this series win. This is one of the most important series win for them, and them dropping WE and having the loss streak that they've already had as, yeah, it's, questionable, Rez.
Yeah, it is questionable. Like, overall, me taking a look back at the series, I'm not against trying new things and adaptation. That's how we prefix this series coming into it. I think the level of adaptation is something what we're looking for from BLG, and they've showed us when they went up against Sino Dragons in the past. The only thing that we're ever saying is, like, if you try that level of adaptation, of course, to get the execution down. And also, well, I mean, I'm always going to make the criticism about large changes about specific champions. I know Kayle as a champion is something we're going to be seeing more and more in competitive, especially with some of the changes that have gone through. We're just how, like, she received nerfs per se to her numbers in the newest patch, but she also is just a lot less clunkier, which is something a lot of people just want. So we'll see her after a few buffs, and also in a better matchup. That's always something that I thought she was going to go top lane, not towards the Kennen. But if you see teams pick up like a Poppy or an Ornn, for instance, like, okay, then you got yourself a Kayle pick that is going to be unpunished.
And having said that as well, maybe in the environment of the LPL and some of our faster teams like FPX, TOP, Invictus Gaming, the way games go doesn't enable for that Kayle to actually have a game. Whereas if we're in, maybe a region like the LCK or maybe against some of the slower teams like EDG.
Well, I mean, we saw how EDG played, so slow is not the right word.
Not that EDG.
Definitely more like surgical, I would say the team is. Yeah. One thing I want to see right now is, like, if they're going to throw the Kayle at me, then don't throw the Taliyah at the same time. Have a champion that has, like, more pressure within the lane. You could throw a Kayle, and I think that would just be fine as well. Yeah. There's a lot of ifs in the champion select, but overall, I think we can talk about the play that they had was also poor if they're going to have all those champions paired together.
Blue side has a very high win rate for both of these teams. We'll see what happens next. Which side is going to come up? Game 2, right after this.
啊，下路不能赢，别逼逼啊，别逼逼啊！
不是闹着玩的。
喂，当归联赛第一。
我直接跟裁判说我要暂停。
你听不懂吗，仆人马？
听不懂，
听不懂。
我队友鼠标有问题，
他说你卢锡安菜。康迪说你卢锡安不行。
我卢锡安比你厉害。说了卢锡安，1v1卢锡安。好，开了，
等一声号令。
马上等 ，Go go 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 go
go go go。
慢慢打，辛德拉，小心布拉迪，慢慢打，一定死了，我要看起来，起来了，一球起来了
，nice，又到意味深长的第2盘了，知道吗？
好爽，
康先生又到意味深长的第2盘了，
必须赢，谁失误打死他
啊！下路不能赢，
我们打野没有干卡。
战队气象。
看，第三，
没事，辛德尔没事，行了，死了，
回来一波，
有吃吗？
没有吃，回来队没有吃，大鬼，
没关系，我有必要不要？
可以一波，
一波，3点加，3点加，先一个，杀人 ，go，
然后 A 点，
哎 ，A 点，没错，3点加，
第一局满点，好起来了，
今天Jinjiao我 mini carry，
好起来了，注意一下。
可以，新教你先打，插毛，你打不掉血了。
我会用大家的黄金，
我看你们破壳，
OK， 这边加油，
我们在打龙，
没关系。
OK， 看左一破壳，加
油一。
别急，不要追，不打，看到我们可以打了，OK，
我会用大家，OK， 陪着 ，OK， 到没？慢慢不太行，
我能看黄金，
加了吗？
没血，你们慢点，等一下，
没关系，放血
，OK，
你打了吗？黄金没下，
飞机，看金角， ，nice，一波，可以，看金角跟金角，
蹲，
可以，一波啊，
来，
金角，
真的难受。Baby B 啊，
我 KTA，
我 K 你，
啊，我 KT carry， 我 KTA，难受。
教练，我们等一下握手的路线是从外侧走，舞台外侧绕到中间奔驰标志的地方。
教练是吗？啊好。
是的。
我们结束的时候，如果我们赢了，就是我们也是一样的路线吗？
啊，所以今天第一次说我们赢。
啊？先当我们输了。
所以今天说我们赢。
当输了呀。
这么玩？那你为什么要问？
万一嘛，
万一赢，
万分之一。
可以。
到他往上走。
了解着。
他死了应该。
为什么？
哎，好像能杀。
看。
哇，
能全杀。哎，
味道。来说什么？
我们在大龙这个地方跟他们打团，我们应该是挺大优势的。能不能走下来蹲着我们打？
啊，可以。
我觉得直接上路吧，他们。来，可以。他们给。一直有。看。
交给您。
看一下，能赢，一定赢。他们送了1秒。
开那。
下一个发力了，他为啥他一上来？不知道。
能杀吧？一波。
下一个。这是吸血鬼，兄弟，
来，
不是闹着玩的。
中了，兄弟们，关键的一把，
集中了，最后一把了，最后一把，
不失误，
赢下他们第一啊！加油啊，同志们！
我也没当过联赛第一，
加油！加上去！
我一个人顶不住。
可以开他们波，
能开吗？
可以啊！
我踢了。
Jayce！
来，
稳住发育就赢了。
看我炸他了！没事，别急，抢线！我5秒，我去车了。
录像，能秒吗？
我秒，10秒。
可以打。
打Jayce。
我可以卖。
你顶他。上，可以打。看我看。哎，我看，他过来打。
如果这都过来，有杀吗？他没事。大龙。
先杀人！
我没 W。
他追龙上走。
等下，慢点打。
中间多用了，没有戏。
先打。
多用了。
可以出去，你打。
那我们打。
先打。
我们打。而且没技术没拉起，你们拉起。打完，
我打。
nice， 兄弟们稳住，第一了。
稳。
我这丢大，杀，A 打，我横着打。
顶他。
哦，那而且没中了了。
哎，这。
可以。
一大有一把，
没
来，